So it is 3 in the morning, and what am I doing? I'm nerding out as usual. So I told you guys I'm working on a program which is going to be a job scanner application. Basically, it's going to be able to basically ingest your resume and your primary skill sets. Then it's going to be able to scan job descriptions, score the jobs based on compatibility, and then based on that, it's going to be able to auto-generate email, right? The email is going to basically demonstrate why you're qualified for the job. So it's going to say, I've got 7 years experience. So the job is asking for Unix. I've got 7 years experience of Unix. I may mention specific companies or maybe years. I still got to refine that, but I just want to make sure I get the basic logic working. So 3 in the morning, what am I doing? I am basically doing a brainstorm session here, sort of visualizing the workflow. So I'm going to quickly go over this and then I'm going to go to bed because I'm well past my bedtime. So basically what I have going here is we can start right here with skills. So there's going to be a CSV file. And again, I'm starting off with crude versions. I want to get the basic logic going. And then in future versions, I'm going to make enhancements where it's going to be much more clever, much more convenient. So some of this stuff will be a little bit crude. I just want to make sure I get the basic logic working to begin with. That's my flow. So right now the skills is going to be a CSV file, skill, comma, value between 1 and 5, how important the skill is, and how good you are at that skill, right? So we need some sort of metric to sort of gauge, first of all, what skills are important, what do we want to focus on, and also which skills are more important. For example, if you're a hardcore Unix guy, you really want a Unix focused role, then you give Unix the highest score. So the basic premise is if you have a job description that keeps mentioning Unix over and over again, good chance that's a big focus. Now, of course, this is not perfect, right? The entire design itself is somewhat simplistic. And of course, there's going to be situations where it's not going to give you necessarily what you want. But once I build it, I can perhaps look into ways of making it even more smart. Maybe look into using artificial intelligence and some kind of pattern matching or something like that. But for now, this is the system that I've chosen to use. So you have a skill, comma, some kind of numerical value indicating the importance and how good you are at that particular skill. So this is in a CSV file. So the first part of the code is going to be a function that always runs that's going to load your skills file, and it's going to convert this information into a dictionary. So in Python, you have a dictionary. So you have key value pairs. So right here, it's indicating that you have Unix skills and the rating for that skill is 5. But now that it's in a data structure, we can easily access and manipulate this information. We know that's it's skill colon score, right? We know exactly score is going to be here, skill is going to be there. So we know what's going on here. And we can manipulate that and use it how we choose. So that's number 1. Ingest the skills, produce the dictionary from it. So now we have a dictionary. This is going to be a file. This is a function that's going to do this. And this is going to be a file. I'm sorry, this is going to be a dictionary which we can access via the name of the variable for this dictionary. Then let's see, so we did 1, we created that. Then the next thing we want to do is we want to begin a loop. This is going to be a loop-based program, so you can scan a couple of jobs if you want, rather than just doing one job. So after we load your skills, which is relevant, your skills aren't going to change while you're running this, right? So you have your skills file, you start the program, it's going to load your skills file or your skills data into a dictionary, which will be available for the rest of the application. So once we have that information available, we can begin the loop. So we start the loop here. And the first function that we're going to run now is the job ingester. So there's going to be a function that's going to take the job description and convert it into a usable format. So you have we're looking for an engineer, we want 5 years of Unix and such, whatever. So in order to convert this into a data structure, what we're going to do is we're going to do a keyword search. So remember the keywords we have here. So you're going to look for, so we're going to iterate through a list of all of these skills, or the dictionary, depends on how I decide to do it, but we're going to iterate through each one. So for skills in skills list, whatever, right? First iteration, Unix. How many times is Unix here? Okay, store that value. SQL, how many times is SQL here? Okay, store that value. So on and so forth. So we're going to have a count for each one. So right here, I'm showing an example of the Unix count. So first iteration, we counted Unix. We find Unix here and Unix here. 1 and 1 equals 2. So the value for Unix is 2. So as far as the job description, it gets a score of 2 as far as Unix. Now we need to look at the factor, because remember we had the skills rate that we did before. So what skills are most important to you? So we gave a 5 for Unix, right? And in this job description, Unix is mentioned twice. So what we want to do is we want to take the rate of 5, multiply it by the amount of occurrences. So we have 2 Unixes in there, and Unix is worth 5. So we get a value of 10. So that's the score of Unix for this job description. It gets a 10. So we're going to iterate through each skill, Unix 10, SQL, whatever, da, 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 da. And then, so we did that. That's 3, 4. So 4 is the multiplication on the skills. And then when we're done, we're going to go to 5, which is we're going to store all these scores in a list or something, some kind of data structure that makes sense. And then we're going to pass it on to the job scoring module or function. What we're doing here is we're going to basically sum the values of each skill score. So you got a total of 10 points for Unix. We got a total of whatever points for SQL, right? Add up all those values. And then in this case, we're just showing for an example, we only show Unix. So the total score is 10. So we have a score of 10 for Unix, right? So there's Unix is 10, and not for Unix, this is for everything. So the total score of this job is 10 in terms of how compatible the job is to your background. Now, if the score is below a certain threshold, that'll be a fail condition. Then we're going to go to continue. Continue basically starts over the loop. So we're going to go right back to the top. And at this point in time, we're going to allow the user to load another job description and start the whole process all over again, right? Now, if the score is high enough, so we say this job is compatible with your background, then we go to 7B, which is basically you're going to consume the resume. So you have the resume ingester. So basically, we're going to take, again, starting crude format. We'll make it more fancy later on. So for now, we can see my note here. The user is going to format the resume. Later versions will have an auto format. But for now, user formats the resume. So the format is going to basically be, I'll have them do like company, comma, year, comma, skills, right? So it'll be like skill, comma, skill, comma, skill, comma, skill. That's the format. So I know the data is in a consistent format, so I know where things are. So I can program the code to be able to pull that stuff up and build for the resume in a data structure that the program can use. So basically, we're going to use the indexes of the lists. So lists have index positions. So 1, 2, 3. We're only concerned about the first 2 because they're going to be consistent information in the first 2 fields based on the design I'm going with. So first field is going to be the company name. Second field is the year. Then the rest of the fields will just be a series of skills. So pretty much for the first company name and this year, you're going to have broken down by skills. So what are all the skills you utilized at this job, right? So that's going to translate to company name, year, skill, skill, skill. We have the resume history information available in a data structure so that it's accessible to the program logic. So I haven't completed that part of the workflow. But basically, it's going to be some version of basically telling the story. So you have, I would say, a couple ways to approach this. I may want to get rid of skills that aren't relevant because I'm only checking for certain skills that are important, right? So I might want to not put skills in this list that we don't care about. So every time I grab a skill from the job, I may want to check and see if it's in my job skills list. And if it's there, keep it. If it's not, discard it. But I don't know if I want to be discarding things. Maybe I'll need it later on. So I'm not sure about that. Let's just say for now I don't throw it away. I keep it here. But when I'm writing the storyline, it's going to be guided by a list of skills. So I think I'm missing a piece. I think when I go through the job description, for every skill that I find that is a one of the key skill sets, I'm going to store it somewhere else. This will be just a list of all of the skills that are important that were found in this specific job description. So when we get to this point where we need to tell a story based on the resume, we're going to refer to that list of skills that we found in the job description that you do have. And now we're going to prove it by finding where and when we utilize those skills and use that to construct a narrative response that says, maybe by years, we will try to add up all the years of, SQL was here, SQL was there. So 10 years of SQL, and I'm going to have to try and get a logic where the way it's written is as simple as possible. Because, for example, I wouldn't want to say 10 years of SQL and 10 years of UNIX, right? If there's any skills that have the same amount of years, I would want to bundle them and say 10 years of SQL and Unix, 2 years of, you know what I mean? So I need some kind of logic that will find the simplest path in terms of how to communicate how many years you've had of each skill. But based on that logic, which I have yet to determine, we're going to output a letter response. So, and that's pretty much it. That's my design. It's actually going to have this done today, but that did not quite happen. But I'm gonna try and see if I can really get it done tomorrow. But that's gonna be challenging as well because I'm up at 3:30 in the morning, so I'm gonna be tired tomorrow. Will I be able to focus? I got meetings. I don't know. Anyway, this is the Computer Programming University where learning is fun, even at 3 in the morning. All right, guys, be well. Until the next episode. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, boom. I'm out.